Hello and welcome back to my Let's Challenge of Final Fantasy XIII. In the last episode we finished Chapter 5 by defeating the Asta Protoflorian and getting through the section with Hope and Lightning as our team members, and we are now here in the Sunleth Waterscape with Saz and Vanille. And because this is the start of a new chapter, it's time for me to actually give another one of my quick roundups. Now this one should be a little shorter, thankfully, I'm sure you're thinking. But so essentially, obviously, after leaving the Vile Peaks behind them, Hope and Lightning arrive in the Gapra at Whitewood. Lightning, having told Hope that she was going to help him grow stronger, she does her best to start trying to teach him about some sort of more military aspects, how to think about how to lose sense of your emotions and try and control them, try and think of things as strategies, and she also gives him a knife, a very special knife to her because she gave it was a birthday present to her from her sister Sarah, who obviously is the reason that the whole of this story almost started. Now, unfortunately, during this time, as they're making their way through the Whitewood, Lightning finally finds out about Hope's fixation on Snow and his desire to get revenge for what happened to his mother and why he believes that what happened to his mother was entirely Snow's fault. Now, Lightning, realizing this, suddenly realizes that what she has done is actually given him more agency to go about his plan to get revenge on Snow. But at the same time, she's too worried that if she tells him to stop and to do something different, then he'll lose all faith altogether and will completely revert back to the rather weak, rather pathetic, rather pathetic person trying to struggle with such a big issue. Well, what she had given him was a way of coping with things, and she didn't want him to lose that by her telling him to let everything go. So anyway, they continue to move on, and Hope is still fixated on Snow, fixated on getting his revenge. We're now here with Saz and Vanille as they have arrived at the Sunleth Waterscape, and we are now heading the opposite direction to Hope and Lightning. We're heading towards this town of Nautilus, and in doing so, we're going to be fighting off against some new enemies. So, first other thing I want to show you is paradigms, because I'm sure new paradigms that we've got here. You can also see that I've pretty filled up the Crystal that I needed to here. So we've got Slash and Burn for damage, Dual Casting for Stagger, Undermine is just the best paradigm we've got here really, because Vanille is so good as a Saboteur. Tide Turner really helps, essentially allows me to boost while also maintaining Stagger, because Sab attacks maintain Stagger, and because I'm controlling Vanille, it allows me to spam, even if I've already got the status element on an enemy, I can actually keep spamming it on them until Saz has got all the boosts done, which is really nice. War and Peace for healing, Symbiosis for defensive healing. So anyway, so we're going to meet some new enemies here. We've got these, I believe are they just Flans? Flandragora, there you go. So So as you can see, these guys aren't doing much damage to us, so we really don't need to worry about them. Unfortunately, it hasn't been the ideal start to this. Wasn't how I was. There we go. So they are weak to D-Shell, which is very useful to us. Because obviously, you've noticed that you may have noticed that Saz essentially has not. I just want just D-Shells. So he's not using Flame Strike or anything like that, and that's because I'm pretty sure these guys are immune. As you can see, they're immune to both water-type moves and physical attacks. So, oh man, so we can't actually maintain stagger just with stabs. That's annoying. Go, go, go. Get it on. There we go. Okay, good. And there we go. Down goes our first battle of this episode. So along with the Flandragora, we're also going to see some enemies that we've already seen in Gremlins and some other things. Saz does have some great lines in the opening areas of these things where he's just like pointing out the most obvious things. Anyway. So, we've got hedge frogs here. These guys can be rather annoying. They can do they're not so annoying at the moment. They get more annoying depending on I think it's either numbers. I can't remember. It's either numbers or I think there's another sort of variant of them which just does a hell of a lot more damage. Anyway.
Guess this is better than homicidal scorpion robots and mountains of trash.
That's a great. I feel like that should have been the game's sort of tagline for the first half of the game. It's like homicidal scorpion robots and mountains of trash. Why on earth wouldn't you want to play this game?
So this place would make a nice picnic spot, minus all the uninvited guests.
Did we get a preemptive? We did get a preemptive. Lovely. Take that. I think am I doing more damage as Vanille than Saz is? Unfortunately, we're not getting a lot of luck with these, I don't know how... So you can see there's also another thing you can notice on the information about each enemy are the status immunities. As you can see, these Flandragora are actually completely immune to Deprotect. Really? Again? No luck? So for those wondering, the Flandragora is quite simply just the name comes from a portmanteau of the word flan, which is obviously a type of cake, and the word mandragora, which is a specific, a plant. Or maybe is it actually a plant, or is it a mystical thing, like it doesn't actually exist? Who knows? Anyway, the hedge frogs I don't really need to explain the name of, I will say. Where's the weed killer when you need it? So concentrate on these hedge frogs because they are so relatively weak. Yes, there we go. That's what we want to see. And we even get the poison on as well. Wow.
Well, that wasn't scary at all.
Oh no, I've just looked it up. It looks like a Mandragora is something completely different to what I thought it was. Oh no, so it is. So Mandragora is a plant genus belonging to the nightshade family. So there is a plant-related thing, but it's also the Latin equivalent of the word mandrake. So like mandrakes are sort of like known as sort of plants with certain mystical qualities, I think, or magical qualities. I can't remember. But there are also demons that appear in the figures of little men without beards, apparently. Interesting. But anyway. Hello. So, you know, most of these battles aren't particularly difficult at the moment. We can very quickly zip through a lot of them. Is it only weak to fire? So. Because I might be tempted to use, to start off with Tide Turner, just because if it's weak to fire, then what's likely to happen is that, while we try and get the,
I'm tougher than you thought, huh?
or we try and get the, status elements on, then Saz will actually just put End Fire on us. And I'm pretty sure End Fire, not only does it, so normally End Fire, all it would do, it would just give specific attacks of yours a physical quality. Oh no, so he's giving us faith, so maybe we don't actually have Good Lord, those fire attacks are doing so much now. As you would expect, obviously, I am faithed up, so it's interesting. That probably does mean that we don't actually, that Saz doesn't have access to Fire quite yet. It's a little disappointing, but you know. Because all of the end spells I always enjoy using because it are really. I know, I just like having the extra, you know, elemental attributes onto your attacks, and the effects it adds to the weapons are quite cool as well. I always think. So let's go to our Crystarium. Do you have End Fire? Do you have End Fire? You have In Water and in Thunder, so you do not have access to End Fire. Ah, that explains it. And we can't quite get to that roll level, unfortunately. We get a Belladonna wand, which I believe is essentially another useful weapon of Vanille's. It essentially increases your saboteur abilities, but you do suffer a small decrease in magic. So whether we actually want that, I think we do. I don't usually use it, but I thought, you know, why not? There's only 4 points of magic. I think it would obviously be more in certain scenarios, but anyway. So obviously against enemies like these gremlins that we've obviously already fought, we can actually very simply just... Is there a reason you're picking on me? That's not very nice. There we go, lovely.
Old man still.
So we zipped through that. There was an item, wasn't there? Or did we pick it up? Yeah, we did. So you get a few more battles with these flans. Yeah, you get a fair few of them around this area. they're really not too scary just because they don't do, you know, they're really not doing that much damage. There we go. Beautiful. That's what we want to see. That might well be the Belladonna wand coming into effect there, just giving us immediate effect with... immediately landing that D-shell. Beautiful again. And now we can be certain we'll get a stagger, and then there we go, lovely. So, our first time facing 3, but again, you know, the battles are ultimately very similar. This early stage, there's essentially we have this rather brief section where we just fight lots and lots of these enemies, then we'll get some cutscenes, and then you start hitting the more sort of, the bigger bulk of this chapter, which is full of far more interesting battles. Let's get the D-shell on. I could probably go D-shell, poison, poison if I wanted to. The one time I don't go D-shell, 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 D-shell is the only one I don't get on. Typical. There we go, lovely. Boom, there we go, really nice. I feel like we're going really nicely at the moment. There is another item. And we get a pair of Procyon, so they are weapons for Saz. They increase strength. They also increase stagger maintenance, which is actually a very good thing. So we will keep them for the moment, as we have one more flan to take care of. One other thing you'll find about staggered enemies is that they're a hell of a lot more susceptible to statuses and stuff like that, so it's always, you know, the benefits of stagger are virtually limitless. So there we go, another safe dispatch of an enemy. I don't think there's any other items around here, so we can start continuing onwards. Some more gremlins. It looks like we do get preemptive on, which is lovely. Lovely, there we go. The nice thing about stagger maintenance on Saz is just that, you know, in a team like this, stagger maintenance is very key. And Saz isn't the best commando, but obviously having something that improves his commando abilities is always going to be helpful. So another set of 5 gremlins. Again, nothing really to be too worried about. I believe these guys are weak to deep effect, more so than anything. You'll notice that the different weapons all have their own. They have different sounds associated with them. So these Procyon sound slightly different to the other weapons that Saz has been using. Lovely, and that should be finished off by Saz. There we go. So we can pop down here for another item, and then I think we're going to hit a cutscene. We're going to get a doctor's code. So the doctor's, obviously we've already got one doctor's code. They essentially just increase the power of your potions, which generally you don't end up using a lot, just because your HP starts to increase a hell of a lot faster than the amount that potions give you sort of allows. But there we go. They're useful in other ways, I think, if you dismantle them.
Tell me about yourself.
Huh?
Any family?
I have a little boy.
Oh, so you're married?
I was, yeah.
We've got to get you home. Your son needs you. Come on, we'll make it.
It's too late.
Is it the Lassie thing?
How'd you...
You might be a Lassie, but you're still a daddy.
You're right.
So, what's his name? Hey, Dad.
Make it a wish, huh? What'd you wish for?
Well, that never happened. You never smile. So here's what I wish. I wish that you'd cheer up. You'd be like your old self again.
How about that?
Whoa.
Your wish came true.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, it's my turn to wish.
What for, Dad?
That's my little secret.
Saz?
Huh?
You alright?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Pops. You really got to keep it together, okay? Now, let's go.
Now I got kids looking out for me. Some dad I am.
So there we have a little revealing a little revealing exposition about what's going on with Saz, and what might his motivations be. Still, obviously, some secrets to be held within that that interaction there. So now, the other thing, obviously, the game has just pointed out, essentially saying that we need to watch out because we've got these things called scale beasts, and they are actually rather strong for our level at the moment, and they actually are quite difficult to battle. That being said, there are some items here, and we want to grab them. And we're going to be fighting scale beasts later on in the chapter, so there's really no point in us not. But something that we're definitely going to need to do is get... So, like, this sort of stagger here is just sort of used as just to start off the battle. We won't actually get that much from this, really, aside from some damage off. you can see that they're obviously taking very little damage, and they actually do a lot of damage back. 97 attack just from a basic melee is not a thing to sort of shirk over. So, yeah, so these guys, scale beasts, essentially, they have their carapaces, and whenever they have them, they essentially take very little damage. So little to no damage, I think is the phrase I was looking for there. But you really don't need to give Vanille bravery, Saz, honestly. Really not important. So the reason I'm just spamming statuses here is because if any of them land, you'll see that they move to the end of the chain, essentially. I think we're slightly too slow. Yeah, so as you can see, the stagger is just slightly... We can't maintain stagger very well at all. So we're going to need to use the commando here, because... And hopefully with Saz and his Procyon we'll be able to maintain stagger a bit more. Unfortunately also he gave himself faith rather than giving himself bravery, which would have been much more useful here, but alas, nothing we can do about that. So I think we can probably go one turn of this and then some dual casting. As you can see, our buffs are starting to wear off, so that's not good. So I'm going to go to Undermine now. Start spamming some Deprotect. Obviously, you saw how much Shocking Breath does. Shocking Breath is obviously the dangerous attack to watch out with these guys. Oh, really? There we go.
Well, that wasn't scary at all.
So now there are plenty of scale beasts around here now, because they're all solo battles. So every single one of these scale beasts around here is just a single battle, and they're all that long. And I don't really want to do them all because kind of pointless. But I do want to do the ones that are obviously withholding items from us. But as you can see, we can literally just run around these enemies. They are much slower than us, and as such, then of no real danger to us, in that we can just zip by them and just ignore them. So yeah, so all those three other all three of those scale beasts there are just single battles. We've already done one of them. I showed you how to do it, and yeah, we don't really need to worry about it. Hello? You alright? Recording. Will do. Just want to finish off. I'm not that. Pretty close to finishing. So we continue to head over here. As you can see, Saz was looking at this lovely view. Got a group of we're probably going to call this episode to an end pretty soon, just because. Yeah, we might wait to the next cutscene. It's not too far away. Because obviously you can spend a while fighting off those scale beasts, or you can do what I do and just skip them. And honestly, the experience they actually give you is not that great for the amount of time that it takes to do the battle, so there's no real reason to do those battles unless you just want to prove to yourself that you can do it. And later on in this chapter we're going to get battles with scale beasts and other enemies, so they're going to be far more... and those ones are going to be far more problematic for us than just these singular ones. So if we can do those, I think we can handle a single one. So we defeat those gremlins, nice and simple. And then we can pop down here, we've got more gremlins, and then I think we're going to be pretty close to our next cutscene and the end of this episode. Lovely, that should be enough. Lovely. So we'll get some more random items. I think, yeah, we got some more gremlins. This one's a little scary just because of the numbers, but I think we got a preemptive, so we really shouldn't worry about it. Shouldn't need to, at least. I wonder if, does Vanille know Quake? No. Okay. Come on, blitz him, blitz him. Ow. Nicely done, Sass. Nicely done. There we go. Another quick little battle. So yeah, we're going to get another cutscene as we head over here, and we're going to call this episode to an end.
You look tired. Not enough sleep?
I guess.
Not surprising. Cute girl like me. It's hard to close your eyes, huh?
I'm just gonna lie down for a bit.
Being made of the sea, it's not easy. I mean, look. Even I'm kind of worried. But even if we don't know what'll happen, we have to keep our dreams alive. Have something to look forward to. You know?
Next stop is Nautilus, City of Dreams.
Yeah. What? Sass?
Hey,
iPad.
no problem. So there we have it, the end of this episode with Saz suddenly gone missing, and we're going to actually have to find him in the next episode. It won't take long. Trust me on that. But I hope you have enjoyed this episode of my Let's Challenge of Final Fantasy XIII. I hope you'll join me on the next, where we will probably get close to finishing this chapter. This is not a very long chapter, certainly compared to the Lightning and Hope ones. The Saz and Vanille chapters tend to be quite a bit shorter. So yeah, we'll get pretty close to finishing it probably next time. So I hope you will look forward to that, and I hope you will join me for that on the next episode. I will see you then.